How's it going, girl bosses? It's been a little crazy recently, hasn't it? Well, originally this video was going to be about a topic that wasn't really important in the grand scheme of things. The invasion of a sovereign country has kind of taken my attention, understandably so. So I thought I'd just talk about it a bit, and I know that I can't bring any groundbreaking perspectives or any shocking new ideas to the table. I still think it's important to discuss what we, common people can do to provide some small, meager degree of help to a country that is literally under siege from an imperialist power. So, in regards to donations, I've compiled a few useful sources that'll be in the description of this video. Things like the UN Humanitarian Fund for Ukraine or government websites that you can donate to. Anything can help, and if you don't choose to donate, I'm not going to, impugn your character. I have no idea what's going on in your life, but I definitely would urge anyone watching this too, because this is a literal country at war. These people are suffering and they deserve any help they can get. Next, I would like to talk about just a little bit of the misinformation around the topic, because it is definitely essential that we go over what is actually going on in the region and why, and how the invasion of a sovereign country isn't correct. I mean, for example, I'm an avid spectator of leftist Twitter blood sports, and I've seen a lot of justifications for Russia's invasion and denazification based off of the neo-Nazi Azov battalion, but everybody ignores the multitude of far-right paramilitaries that are trained and organized in Russia itself and then exported back to their home countries. I mean, clearly, if we're talking about who is more justified in invading the other, given that Ukraine is actually one of, if not the most tolerant countries for Jewish individuals in all of Eastern Europe, I'm pretty sure Ukraine would have a far better, justification in that case. Secondly, I've been hearing a lot of talk about how apparently it was promised that there'd be no NATO expansion, and whether it was promised or not, that's bullshit, honestly. I, for one, don't impugn the sovereignty of another nation based upon promises made during the Cold War. Whether Ukraine had, not been allowed in NATO, or whether NATO had promised not to expand past its Cold War borders, is irrelevant, because Ukraine showed a willingness after the Iron Maiden protest to join NATO, and in response, Russia invaded them and sent them into a perpetual spiral of conflict. And if you side with that at all, I mean, you are pro-imperialism. I mean, stepping on the rights and autonomy of a nation-state by virtue of them following their own directives, and impugning upon promises that were never even formalized is abhorrent in every way. Obviously, it is imperative to me that you do not impugn the entire Russian population and judge them with an incredibly broad brush. Antiwar protests in several large cities in Russia have shown that the Russian population is not on board with a pointless struggle of imperialism. They are pretty clearly opposed to the suffering and death of Ukraine's people, and as such, it is important that we do not judge and shame them for merely being born in the wrong place at the wrong time. They're people and members of the international working class too, and it's not our responsibility to be hateful, but it is our responsibility as politically informed and involved individuals to speak out against the crimes of the Russian government and advocate for one that is more conducive to world peace and the development of their standards of living. Above all, stay informed and stay involved. As long as you're discussing this and talking about it with your coworkers and your peers and your family and friends, the issue cannot just simply go away. And though you talking about it for 5 minutes with your friend may not change the course of the war in itself, or change the outlook of American foreign policy, it will have an impact regardless of how small it is. And as far as I'm concerned, having any impact at all is essential to creating a far better world for both you and I. Obviously, take heart in the fact that this isn't the end of the world. This is an incredibly stressful period for literally everybody's lives, from the most uninvolved to the citizens of Ukraine themselves. So I won't blame you for being stressed, obviously. I just want to let you know that there is no reason to tear your hair out over this, because a few strands of hair aren't exactly going to stop, tank treads, but word of mouth can definitely have a massive impact. And I feel like focusing all that anxiety and dread towards productive goals and productive conversations serves a lot better of a purpose. Though don't interpret that as me impugning you if you're anxious, because I most certainly am. Just know that this is pretty much as far as he can go. Putin, I'm referring to, and that the ruble itself is currently death dropping towards the ground faster than even I anticipated, and that's not even mentioning the major and, well, pretty strong sanctions that have been levied against a large majority of Russian industries and sectors. So understand that the world has probably got a few more climate change filled years ahead of it, and that's several more opportunities for you and I to get involved in making this world a better place, or at least halting its degradation. That's it. Thank you so much for the investment of time you've made today. I understand that 6 or 7 minutes are absolutely imperative to some people, and as such, I'm incredibly gracious for that. If you enjoyed this, I ask that you stick around, because I plan to cover issues like this and this issue itself with some degree of regularity. And if you didn't enjoy this, I ask that you just give me any and all constructive criticism, because I would love to do better at this, and I know I can't get better at this unless I'm being criticized by people that don't necessarily agree with either my viewpoints or the way I present them. With that, I ask that we all just keep fighting the good fight and supporting the people of Ukraine, because at a time like this, they need it more than ever. And with that, I wish you all a good night.